Welcome back to the Tandem podcast. I'm with Mike Powers today, and how you doing, Mike?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself, Mike?
Not too
Good
bad,
name.
not too bad. So I kind of found you on the Instagrams, going through some of the different profiles, and I'd reached out to you, and I liked your style of your car, and I saw that you're going into Pro 2, and it's kind of a terrible time to be going into Pro 2,
Yeah.
but I thought I'd reach out and get you on and talk to you about your car. And for first question off is like, how do you get into this wacky sport we call drifting?
For sure. But before I get into that, just want to say thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, as you're saying, it's definitely a weird time right now. But drifting, oh man, drifting is just so weird because it's something that you have to like almost, let's say like I'm telling somebody what I do and they're like, what's drifting? Like you even feel that how weird it is because you have to explain it to someone. It's like, like racing, but it's the same thing as like racing, but it's not. And you're going sideways.
Yeah.
But
it's a hard thing for the normal person to grasp half the time.
yeah, the best thing ever about that I got was Fast and Furious. I just tell people, you ever see Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift? That's literally what we do. That's what I do.
That's pretty much it.
But drifting, I got into drifting when I would say I was about 17, and I formed an interest for drifting through getting into cars with my buddy Connor. I used to be really big into riding BMX bikes and stuff, and what happened was I actually broke my hand, and there was a solid like month and a half where I couldn't ride my bike, and I was hanging out with my buddy Connor at Connor's house, and he bought a 240, and he was telling me all this stuff about cars, and I was really getting into it with him, and that kind of sparked my interest into cars. And then later on down the line, probably about a couple months, he took me to my first Club Loose event. And then after being at Club Loose and seeing it live and in person, I was like, I'm buying a drift car, building a drift car, and I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and that's usually how it goes. I mean, my first event was an Automass event back in the day, and I was just like, oh yeah, no, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then we went up. Then I think the first one after that was one of the D days at US Air, and being up there, it's just like, yeah, this is it.
It's awesome. Yeah,
But
USA is a great track.
so I'm guessing because of you going to a Club Loose event, Club Loose is kind of your local track because you're from New York.
Yep. So yeah, I mean that's the closest track we have. We have like a crappy oval track out here on the island. But yeah, that's the closest track, and that's been my home track for the past couple of years. And they are a different breed out there. They just all they want to do is drift, party, and it's all about having a good time. And that's kind of like one of the reasons why when I was there, I was like, it's just so like addicting to be there.
Yeah. So what was your like first car that you got that you started drifting?
So the car that you might have seen on my Instagram, my S13 that I was doing Pro-Am with, that was actually my first drift car. So
Okay.
yeah, I bought that. It wasn't very clean. It just had no rust, but the front of the car was crashed. So we ended up tubing out the front of the car, putting a cage in it right off the bat. But I kept it simple in terms of power and suspension. It was just a bunch of add-ons and stronger parts, so I could just go to the track and drive.
What
And
was the power?
time.
What was the power plant?
It came with an SR20 in it, and
Oh,
that's what I rocked. That's what I rocked for the first 2 years of drifting, and then halfway into the second year, I just ended up upping the power, just did a new turbo on it and stuff like that, and it shredded. It was awesome. Like
yeah, because usually half the time with like, there's like two camps of like SR guys. There's like the guys that'll run forever and it runs perfectly, and
yeah,
then the ones that just blow up
yeah, they
like
just
every
don't work.
like 10 minutes.
It's a super fine line with that motor. You just have to like you have to be like more cautious than anything. You can't really expect much from it. But
Yeah.
when you kind of don't expect a lot from an SR20 and you just give just enough power so you can do everything that you want to do, it's the best. It's a
Yeah.
very good motor to have, especially if you're starting out.
So how long have you been doing like when did you kind of start doing D days and like where did you start cutting your teeth? Was it just like regular D days or were you trying to do like competitions?
So the first 2 years, it was pretty much me just trying to get up in the ranks with Club Loose. So they start like C group, B group, A group, and the only thing I cared about was getting into A group. So my main focus was getting that C time and getting comfortable with the track and driving with people. And then I ended up getting into A group on my second year. And then once I got into A group, things like I just started wanting to, I just ended up wanting more. So I ended up I wanted my car to be faster. And then once I decided I was going to put like a 2J in my car, I was like, all right, I want to compete. And then after my first competition, I was like, yep, I want to do this like forever now too. But,
So, oh yeah, keep going.
oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say the first competition I did was in 2018 with US Drift, and that was during Hyperfest at VIR, and just finished my car putting a TJ in it like the day we loaded up in the trailer. So it was, to say the least, a total shit show trying to drive the car for the first time during competition, but it was a lot of fun. And since then, I'm just trying to improve and get better and better with it.
Yeah, and I heard about that event and I thought it was kind of weird that they were letting people drift on VIR. Is that a normal drift track or was that one of the weird events there?
It's
Or am I thinking something else?
I don't I'm not too sure, but I know that it's only one section. I think it's like an infield track. I always forget the name of it, but they really only used one part. It's like a downhill and then just two more turns and that's it. It's pretty
Okay.
short. It's not like it's all of VIR and stuff like that, and it's an
Yeah.
infield track. Um, but yeah, it was cool. The VIR, I love VIR, but that was the only time I actually drove it. I still want to go back to this day and kind of get a little bit of a redemption because I know with the knowledge and actually being able to drive the car that I set up, I would probably have a lot more fun than I did the
Yeah.
first day.
Yeah, usually once you get a little more comfortable with the track, it becomes a little bit easier and you can always tell just by the time just there I mean there's outliers out there that they'll just come to a track and like instantly like click and get it.
Yeah.
But I that's one of the biggest things you have to do is like get comfortable with track right away and once you go
Yep.
back the second time because I know there usually is some sort of changes that's being done at from various track to track or
Hmm.
um, different tracks you may visit. So you said something about uh, doing your first competition with US Drift. So is that what you got your license with, or pro license or Pro 2 license?
So it's pretty cool. So US Drift came up with this idea of doing a shootout. So instead of them doing a season where there's like four events, you compete in points, and whoever comes out like top three in points after the series gets their license. Now with the shootout, it was a 40 driver cap, no qualifying, double elimination, and if you come top three, you get a license that event. So if you came top three at that one shootout, you get that you
Okay.
get the license. But after 2018, there was a lot of other sanctioned drift events and guys who threw competitions for pro am guys, and they kind of took on the US Drift platform. So US Drift actually partnered up with Sonoma Drift, Vegas Drift, uh, Midwest Drift Union, and then they did their own series yet again.